Hello everyone. So today is my third lecture, and that is based on the growth of function. So this is comes under the design analysis for algorithm subjects. I am Dr. Sushil from Ajay Kumar Kar Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Before going to see the concept of the growth of function, basically the growth of function is comes under for to find out the complexity of the algorithm. So it depends upon how the function is growing, or it depending upon the number of inputs we have, right? So on the basis of the number of inputs, we are trying to find out the complexity, because we have already know the how we have already know the finding the complexity of the insertion sort, right? So insertion sort, we have seen the what are the steps we have, and how what are the function we are computing, right? Step by step, right? So basically in the insertion sort, we have already seen that a statement contains some number of execution, right? The total number of execution will give you some functions, right? So now that function, how that is behaving, right? So it depends upon the how many number of inputs we have, right? So on the basis of that, we are trying to find out the growth of function. The growth of function, this means not only the limited number of inputs, only we are checking for the large number of inputs, right? For any algorithm that contains the functions, right? And now we are trying to find out the complexity of that function under some analysis of that algorithm, right? So now we see how the function of any algorithm is behaving. So right, so now we'll see. So now first of all, we see the overview of growth of function, why we are going for the growth of function, right? So growth of function is basically is to find out the order of growth of running time of any algorithm that gives the simple characteristics of algorithm efficiency. Basically we are trying to find out the how the algorithm is behaving, right? And how can we compute the efficiency. So efficiency will be depending upon the growth of the function, order of growth, right? So and depends upon the function of that algorithm, right? Now that is also compare we can also compare the growth of function with some other alternative algorithm like insertion sort, or there are lots of lots of sorting algorithm, right? Just like insertion sort, merge sort, there are different type of heap sort, and there are lots of heap sorting, right? There are lots of sorting algorithm, but how can we compare the performance of these algorithms, right? So these comparison of this algorithm that is based on the total based on the order of the running time of that algorithm, right? So as we have already seen in the worst case running time of insertion sort and merge sort, because we have already discussed the insertion sort in the first lecture, and we have also discussed the merge sort in the second lecture. So now we have already seen that the merge sort contains the n log n times, right? And similarly we can also we have also seen the running time of insertion sort, that is n square. So how so basically the order of the function is also used to comparing the complexity of that algorithm. So in the merge sort, that it takes the n log n times, but as we seen in the insertion sort, that it takes n square times, right? So basically n square is greater than n log n, right? So this means the insertion sort takes larger time as compared to the merge sort, right? So basically we are trying to find out the function and order of the function, so that we can compare the performance of algorithms, same type of algorithm, right? So when the input size is large enough, so basically we are trying to find out not only the limited number of inputs, we are trying to find out the order of growth on the basis of the large number of inputs, right? So that's why the input size is one of the factor for comparing the performance of any algorithm, right? So basically when input size is large enough, then order of growth of input running time will be relevant, that we are going to study in the asymptotic and efficiency of that algorithm, right? So now how the running time is algorithm increases with the size of input in the limit. In limited size, it may be large number of input size. So basically we are checking for if the input size is increasing, right, without any bound, right? So how the algorithm is behaving, right? So that behavior will be computed by the order of growth functions, right? So now we'll see the asymptotic notation. So asymptotic notation, that is basically used to find out the running time running time of any algorithm. That describes the notation. Basically we use the notations. There are lots of notation to represent the running time complexity of any algorithm, right? So there are various types of notation, we'll see later on. So these notations are defined in terms of the function, right? So all we have understand, because we have already discussed in the insertion sort and merge sort, we have also see the steps involved, steps for computing the functions, right, order to find out the complexity of that algorithm. So that is basically, that is based on the integer values, right? So how many number of inputs we have, right? So these are basically on the, depends upon the natural number, how many number of natural numbers we have, right? Just like insertion sort, just like a sorting algorithm, there are lots of sorting algorithm, but which one is taking less time or large time under the some condition of how many number of inputs we have, right? So under this conditions, how many number of number of integer, number of elements we have, we are trying to find out the what are the notation we can use to denote the running time of any algorithm, right? So such notation that are convenient for the describing the worst case running time. Basically Tn is a one of the important part in this, in the DA subjects. So Tn is basically the worst case running time function of that any algorithm, right? So as we have already seen in the insertion sort, we have computed the T of n. So Tn is computed from the functions, right? And we are denoting the order of that function, right? So Tn is basically the order worst case running time of running time function, right? So which is basically used to not only the is only for the integer values, but in some cases, but most of the cases we are trying to find out the Tn on the basis of the integer input. Even we can think about the large number of inputs, right? So depending upon the certain conditions, we are trying to find out the Tn, right? So now we see what are the notation we are using to determine the complexity, or you can use the notations, right? So basically we have 5 types of notation, right, for representing the worst case worst running time function T of n, right? So Tn is basically we are trying to denote by using this notation. These notations are, the first notation is a theta notation, and second is the big O notation, and third one is a big omega notation. We can also call this omega notation, and the small notation is also called the little omega notation, and this omega notation is O notation, and this omega notation is also called the little omega notation. So these are the 5 notation we use to denote the order of the function, right? So now we see one by one these notation and the definition of these notations, right? So first of all, that is the theta notation. So theta notation mostly we use when the definition of the theta occurs, right? So theta notation, that is basically we have already seen in the insertion sort, right? Insertion sort, that is T of n is equal to theta of n square, right? So T of n, that is theta n square. How is theta is coming, right? So theta is, first of all we have to think about the definition of the theta notation. So theta notation is basically the asymptotically tight bond notation, right? Asymptotically tight bond means the input the function whatever we have computed from the algorithm, that what are the maximum or minimum function is required. So that this function is required, that is computed by g of n. So basic definition of the theta e, that is for a given g. So gn, for gn may be given, it may not be given, because the objective is to find out the g of n, because the function we have already computed from the algorithm, and now we are trying to find out the g of n, right? So now we have to denote theta of gn. How can we denote the theta of gn? So basically here we are trying to define the theta notation on the basis of given gn, right? So g of n, so that is theta of g of n, that will be equal to f of n, right? So f of n we have already computed from the algorithm. Now we are finding the what are the function, what is the function g of n, right? So g of n will be computed. We have to, first of all we have to check that function. So this is the important condition we have in the asymptotic tight bond notation, that is theta notation, that is f of n we have computed from the algorithm, and now we are trying to find out the what is the function is required, right? So that is g of n, here is also g of n. So this is the common function, and only is differing from the constant value. These are the c1 and c2, these are the positive constant, right? So these are the positive constant. So now we are trying to find out that function we have getting from the algorithm. Now we have to find out the what is the function of g of n, so that the fn lies between c1 gn and c2 gn, right? So this is basically cn is something like a sandwich between the c1 gn and c2 gn, right? So that theta notation is also called the sandwich notation, right? So this function f of n belongs to the theta of gn if there exists some positive constant c1 and c2, right? So c1 and c2, these are positive constants. So now we are trying to find out the what is the value of c1 and c2, right? So this is the another constant we are trying to find out, but these c1 and c2, these are the constant, right? And such this type is also called the sandwich between the c1 g1 and c2 g1, right? So this is the f of n in between the c1 gn and c2 gn, right? So this is the sandwich notation. Now we see the some graphical notation of theta notation, so that we can understand how the theta notation is working, right? So now see, so these are the theta notation. So as we can see here, the f of n, and that is lies between c1 and g1, right? And c1 and c2, these are the constant, and these are the, and this notation is also called the asymptotically tight bound notation, because it contains the equality condition, here, right? So that's why this is the asymptotically tight bound. This means fn just lie on this point, lies in between, right? And also f of n that lies on this one, and similarly this one is lies on this one, right? So that is f of n, that is lies between c of n, and n of n is the critical point after actually n is the number of inputs we have. So when the large number of inputs, for the large number of inputs, we are trying to compare the function f of n and g of n, right? So on the basis of large number of integer values, we are trying to find out these notations, right? So if fn lies in between, then we can say, so t of n will be equal to, that is theta notation of g of n. So main objective is to find out, just like an insertion sort we have seen. In the insertion sort, we have seen the function is something like t of n, that is the function we are getting, that is f of n we are getting from the insertion sort, that is n square plus bn plus c. So now this is the function we are getting from the insertion. So now we are trying to find out the t of n. So in the t of n, we are trying to find out this function that is computed from the algorithm, but now we are trying to find out the g of n, right? So g of n basically, that is we are writing that is n square. This means the n square, that is g of n, this is g of n is n square, that is n square that lies between n square. So this is the n square that is lies between c of n1, c1 of gn, that is less than or equal to f of n, and that is also less than or equal to c2 of g of n, that is n square. So basically this one is the g of n. So now we have to check these conditions. Now we have to check this condition, that is working or not. So now we have to see here is a quadratic function, and this is also equivalent. Only we have to find out the constant values, right? So as we can see here, only depending upon the a of n, right? So it may be some constant that lies between some minimum values to maximum values, right? So that's why we are trying to write this function in this form, that is theta of g of n, right? So these are the definition we have already discussed, and this is the graphical notation. So if you know the graphical notation, that is definition is quite easy, right? So just to have to think about this, okay, how the fn behaves, right? How the fn behaves, that is in this theta notation, that is fn lies in between these functions c1 and c2. Here will be c1 is some constant, c2 is also constant, but c1 is smaller than the c2, right? Because this is the lower values, right? So now we see some other notations. So now we see some other notation, that's like a BIGO notation. So this notation is called the Bigot notation, right? So this is notation is a asymptotically upper bound, right? So this one is the provides the asymptotically upper bound, right? So this is also very simple, right? So upper bound, this means upper we know, but we don't have any criteria for finding out the lower values, right? So the definition of this is basically we are trying to find out the Bigot notation on the set of function. So this is the definition. How can we compute the Bigot of g of n? So basically that will be equal to fn, but there exist positive values c and n0, that is n0 that basically after that is particular number of input size, but after then n0 we are trying to find out the behavior of the function, right? So now this is the main concept of Bigot notations. So here we can see why we are telling that this Bigot notation, that is asymptotically upper bound, because of this definition, right? So here is fn is lower than the c of g of n. This means fn function will be lower than the c of n, g of n, right? This means fn can reach up to c of g of n. That is also equivalent sign here, right? So fn that may be equal to c of gn, and that also be less than or equal to. That's why the Bigot notation is called the upper bound. This means fn can reach up to c of g of n, right? So this is the basic definition. Now we can see the graphical notation of Bigot notation, so that you can understand better, right? So now here this is the function we are getting from the algorithm. Now we have to find out the maximum reach of this function. So maximum reach of function, we are basically is required the g of n function. So now you have to compute what are the maximum reach, maximum function, maximum what will be the function, right? What will be the function of gn, so that the fn will reach up to c of gn, right? So in the Bigot notation that also lies on this, right? Equivalency will also be there, but there is no any lower bound. That's why the Bigot notation is called the asymptotic upper bound notation, right? So this is the definition, and we can see here this one. So f of n, that is f of n 0 is less than or equal to f of n, and this less than or equal to c of g of n for all n is greater than n0, right? For all n is greater than n0, or equivalence also be there, right? So now we have not focusing upon the previous values, right? Because in the previous value that may be fluctuating, right? Just like this, suppose we have a function, let's say suppose this is a function, let's say 10n, and another function, let's say this is the 5 of n. So now as we can see here, so function is something like this, is a linear function, right? So it may be 5 of n, or it may be suppose 10 of n. Suppose this is the f of 10n, and this is the 5 of n. So at that particular interest, that is 0, right? But before we are not trying to focus, right? Just like this, I am just giving some another example, just like n square, that is n square, and there is 3 times some values, suppose 3n square, and that is 4n square, right? So that will meet at particular point is 1, right? Right? So that will function is that is similar, right? But actually we are trying to find out the large number of input sizes. We are not focusing upon the previous values, right? So here n0 is a critical point. After then the function is not intersecting, right? Then we have to compare. So that's why we are trying to focus upon the large number of input sizes, right? So now we'll see another notation, that is the big omega notation, that is also called the omega notation, right? So this is also called the omega notation, or you can say the Bigot notation, right? So this notation is called the asymptotically lower bound notation, right? So that notation provides the asymptotic lower bound. This means we are trying to find out the what will be the lower conditions we have, right? Lower function, right? So that means we are trying to find out the fn, that minimum reach of f of n, right? So that will be defined by the g of n, right? So fn is the minimum reach, that's why this is called the asymptotically lower bound, right? That's why it's called the lower bound. This means minimum reach of f of n function, right? So this is the that is similar to the big O notation, but here is in the big O notation we are trying to find out the maximum reach of function f of n, and now here we are trying to find out the minimum reach of that function n, right? So here is a minimum reach that is defined by the g of n, and here is c is the some constant, that is c is the constant, right? So this is the some basic definition, right? So if you know this graph, then that will be very easy, right? And we can also think about the omega notation, that is a lower bound notation, so that we are trying to find out the minimum reach, right? Because it's a lower bound notation, right? So now we'll see the little o notation, that is similar to the big O notation, but this is not a tight bound, right? This means equivalency is not is required in the little o notation, right? So this is also upper bound notation, but not a tight bound, right? So this is the upper bound notation, just like a big O notation, but it's not a tight bound because the equality condition is not providing in this, right? So just like a big O notation, and may not be asymptotically tight because of equality is not be considered in this little omega notation, right? So similarly, just I am taking some example, that is bound is, that is 2n square, just we have written big O of n notation, that is asymptotically tight, but the bound of 2 of n, that is big O of n square, is not be valid in this case, right? Because we have already reached the maximum reach, we have already know, but in the if we are finding that 2n is equal to big O notation, that we cannot be valid, right? So that's why this means the function is linear, but if we written here is a maximum upper bound, that will not be correct, right? So now this here is the little o notation that denotes the upper bound notation, that is not a asymptotically tightly bound notation, right? So this is similar to the big O notation, but little condition is required, that is not a asymptotically tight, right? Now we see the graphical representation and definition of this little o notation, right? So here this is the definition. We are trying to find out the little o notation of g of n, that will be equal to fn when for any positive constant. This is the main important, that is for any positive constant, that is c, that is equal to greater than equal to 0, greater than 0, and there exists the some constant, that is n 0 is greater than 0, such that, so this is the main inequality to define this notation. So that is similar to the big O notation, but here is not equality is not coming, here is equality is not coming, although this is the similar as the big O notation, but his equality not, that's why we are this notation is not a tight bound, right? So this is here is n0, after we are finding the order of growth of this function, right, for n is greater than n0, right, for n is greater than n0. Here is not equality is not be considered because the f of n it will not be equal to here, right? So this is the condition here. So here you are not going to consider this here, right? So now we can see here, so equality will be not be comes into the picture, that's why this is the not a tight bound. So now these definition of this are some little o notation that is similar to the big O notation, and the main difference is that is that holds the some constant, right? So basically the big O notation holds for some constant, but omega that is the little o notation, that is hold for the all constant, right, for any positive constant. So there is some restriction, right? So big O of n, that is for some number of inputs, some number of n values, and here is for any number of values of n, right? So now all things are same. Now we see some extra features in this little omega notations, because we have seen here because the f of n will be the f of n here is a smaller, right? F of n will be smaller than this. This means g of n will be g of n is greater, right? So now we can see here, so f of n will be lesser than the g of n, right? This means the value of g of n will be very high for large number of inputs, right? So here is n that tends to infinity, this means we are considering for the large number of input size. So if you are computing this here, because the Fn is increasing slowly and g of n increasing very high, right? So that's why this value will be greater and this will be smaller. So if you are dividing some values by some large number of function, that will tends to the 0, right? So that's why 0 is coming in this case, right? So this is the some depending upon the function actually, right? Now we see the some little omega notation, right? So little omega notation, that is similar to the big O notation, right? But this is also a not a tight bond, right? But in the omega notation, right, big omega notation, that is the asymptotically tight bond, but here is also a this is a not a tight bond, right? So by analogy, that is omega notation, that is to big omega notation as O notation, little O notation is to big O notation. That is very simple, right? So now you have to just think about this, right? So one is the big O notation, there is another small O notation, and there is the big omega notation, that is the little omega notation. So both are similar except the tight bond, right? So that's why we have considered here, right? So now here is a omega notation denotes the lower bound, that is not a asymptotically tight bond, because we are not considering the equality condition in the little omega notation, right? And we have considered the equality condition in the big omega notation, right? So that's why that is tight, but asymptotically will not be tight, right? Asymptotically lower tight we can say, but we cannot say here for the little omega notation we cannot say the tightly bound, because we are not have considered the equality condition on between the f of n and g of n. So now we see the definition of this notation, that will be similar to the big omega notation. Here is not equality, but in that big omega notation, that is will be equality is there, right? So here is not equality, so here is n0, so equality will not be considered. And here is, we can see here, this is the omega notation, this means the f of n will be upper than, right, because g of n, right? So this means the fn is going very increasing very high, right? And this is not increasing very high, right? C of n, g of n. So that's why f of n, the limit of f of n by g of n for large number of inputs, so that will give the infinity, because so gn is very small and fn is very high, right? So if we are dividing by the large number of values by the smaller value, that will give also give the infinity values, right? So that will be the infinity, goes to the infinity, right? So this is the similar to the big omega notation, right? Except this is some other condition we have, and there are that function becomes the arbitrarily large relative to the g of n as n approaches infinity, right? So this is under this condition we can check here, because here is not an equality condition, that's why this is coming, right? If the equality condition is coming, this means g of n approaches to f of n, so in that case infinity will not be occur, right? So here is not equality condition, that's why the infinity will come, right, for large number of inputs, right? So now we see the some comparison of the function, these notations and functions. So many of the relational property of real numbers apply on the asymptotic comparisons as well, right? So that is we are trying to find out the comparison, right? So for the following, these are the properties that follows the for the those notations we have discussed, right? So assuming this f of n and g of n are the asymptotically positive function. So first of all we have to assume these conditions. This means f of n and g of n that are asymptotically positive, right? On the basis of these assumptions, we are trying to find out the some properties, right? So these are the property that these notation will follow, right? So that is follow the, but all the notation will not follow all the properties. Some of the property will follow the property for all notation, but some of the property will not follow for all notation, right? So here are transitivity properties and reflexivity property, symmetric property and transpose symmetric property. So these are the four property we can see here how the property is working for these notations, right? So now we see the transitivity property. So transitivity property is basically is apply on the each and every notations, right? So now we can see here the first one is f of n. F of n, that is equal to the theta of g of n, and g of n is a theta of h of n. So g of n and h of n, these are the some functions denoted by theta n, right? So in that case, if this property follow, this means f of n will be equal to the theta of g of n, right? Basically this means f of n and g of n and h of n, right? So basically this is following, theta is following f of n equal to theta of g of n, and g of n that also following the theta of h of n. So it will also follow, right? So this means theta f of n will be equal to the theta of h n will follow. That is the transitive property, and these property will follow for the all the notations we have, right? So here we can see this following, right? G of n is big O of h notation, so that f of n will be big O of h notation. Similarly for all notation that following the transitivity property, right? Now we see the some next one is the reflexivity property. So reflexivity property only following on the these notations, theta notation, big O notation, and big omega notations. We are not following on the little omega and little o notation. Because why it's not following? Because that was not a tightly bound, right? So that's why the reflexive property is not working, right? So we cannot write the g of n because there is equality was not there, but this is coming when the equality will be comes into the picture, otherwise will not be, we cannot consider. So that's why f of n will be theta of f n, theta of f n will be considered, right? So f of n will be theta of equal to f of n when g of n will be equal to f of n, because the equality condition holds in that case also, right? Similarly in the big O notation we are also following this one. Similarly for the big omega notation, that is also following, because that is the equality condition present in the this notation. That's why we are this property following on these notations, right? So now we can see some other property, that is symmetric property. Symmetric property that is apply on that only for the theta notation, because this is the asymptotically tight bound, right? This means something like theta notation is, that is definition we have already know, that is C1 of g of n, and that is less than or equal to f of n, and this is also less than or equal to C2 of g of n. So that's why the symmetric property is holding, right? In this theta notation, not for the big O notation, even for the big O notation, even for the big omega notation also, only following the symmetric property for the theta notation, because of the it's a sandwich between the two functions, between the C1 of g of n and C2 of g of n. So that's why this property is following. This means symmetric, this means f of n is equal to theta of gn if and only if g of n is equal to theta of f of n. So that is the vice versa. That's why this is the symmetric property is holding here, right? But this is not holding for the big O notation as well as the big omega notation, because the one sided is, because in the upper bound and lower bound we are will not be follow the symmetric property, because they are not a sandwich between this function, right? This is the sandwich between this function theta. That's why this property is following. Now we see the last one is the transpose symmetry, right? So in the transpose symmetry we are only this notation, big O notation, little omega little o notation is following, because this is a transpose symmetry. This means f of n, that is big O of n, big O of g of n, if and only if g of n is equal to the is big omega notation. So that is basically, this is the upper bound and this is the lower bound, right? So as we can see here in the graphical notation wise we can see, so this is let's say this is the big O notation. So big O notation, that is f of n is reaching for the C of g of n, right? And that is lower bound notation, that means f of n is going to reach for the minimum one. So something like this, so f of n that maybe that is reaches from the c of g of n. So that is the one from the lower bound we are considering and one for the upper bound considering, right. So this is the upper bound and this is the lower bound, so in between the function will lie in this case. So that's why the transpose symmetry is coming in this picture, right. Similarly for the little o notation and omega notation, so this is the upper bound but not tight, and this is the lower bound but not tight, right. So that's why this property is following, and this is the for the tight bond, that's why this is also following, right. Theta 1 is not be any relationship in the transpose symmetry, only the big O notation with the big omega notation and little o notation and little omega notation, that is following because of the we are trying to find out the function upper and lower bound, right. So that's why this is the transpose symmetry properties for is holding in this case, right. So now we see the analogy of asymptotic notation. So these are the analogy, right. So if you know the analogy, that this notation will be very simple, right. So now we have to assume that so here is two function, we have f of n and g of n, right. Suppose we have two function, now we are trying to denote, we are trying to find out which notation will be coming, right. So this is the some analogy. So first of all we have to consider that is f of n is considered with a values and g of n will be consider some numbers, let's say a and b. So this condition will follow when a is less than or equal to b, right. So this is for the less than, right. F of n is less than g of n, so this notation will work. Similarly if inequality is also there, because this is the big O notation, so that's why equality comes into the picture also. So here is a less than or equal to b, then this condition will hold, this notation will hold, right. Similarly for the big omega notation, this means the lower bound notation and tight bond, so equality will be there, right. And we also that will be f of n, that is a is greater than or equal to b, then this condition will hold, right. Similarly for the theta notation, so this is basically the asymptotically tight bond, so this will comes when the equality comes into the picture, right. So when this will occur when a is equal to b, right. So both the number of elements in a and b both are same, then we can write in this, right. Similarly little o notation is just like the big O notation, only the equality will not be considered in this case. Similarly for the little omega notation, that is similar to the big omega notation, right, big O notation, right. So this is the similar, right. So that's why we can analogy this notation by with the help of these functions, right. So now we'll stop here, and in the next class we'll see the recurrence function and how can we find out the complexity by using for the recurrence function by using some methods like a substitution method, Master theorem, and iteration method and recursion tree method. These are the some other methods we can see in the next lecture, right. So we can also see how can we compute the complexity of recurrence functions, right. So we'll stop here, we'll see in the next class. Thank you.